Welcome to the Johnny Random Show. Today I'm going to do a reaction video. It's just going to be me, Johnny Random. Don't have my wife or daughter today to do this. So, but I found this guy, Van, I believe is his name, from the LFR family. He does reactions to a lot of things, sometimes political. And I just really appreciate this guy and like his honesty and his reactions. So I pulled up one that I haven't seen and I'm just going to react to it for you guys. So let's get in it.
Is in itself destroying the principles at a spiritual, human level of...
All right, before we go into this, because I know he just now gave a really nice introduction as to what's about to happen in the cure in this debate. But I just want y'all to know the risk I take by reacting to anything that has Candace Owens on it. Candace Owens is a polarizing figure in the Black community, and which she, a lot of people feel like if they see her face on anything, they turn away from it, and they turn away from the person who's giving her any type of airtime.
So I'm just going to say that he usually prefaces a lot of his videos by saying things like that. He's taken a lot of heat just in his community for, you know, his reactions, some of his reactions for some of the people that he platforms, I guess, if you will. And so that's one thing I respect about him. You know, he's willing to, you know, look at a lot of different things. And obviously, you know, Jasmine and I did that one video on slavery with Thomas Sowell. And yeah, I appreciate my wife as well, you know, kind of listening to stuff that maybe sort of stretches your, you know, what you might be comfortable, or with what other people around you might be not comfortable with you watching too. So, but yeah, I like his honesty, so that's why I'm doing this. So I guess he's got Candace Owens and Russell Brand. And
they, it could be a little nasty. And, but I approach everything with an objective mind, integrity, and hopes not to offend anyone. But I don't lie about anything. If I'm feeling a certain type of way, I'll stop it and say whatever I'm feeling. But by me simply having Candace Owens on as someone that I'm reacting to, and I know it's ignorant as hell, but it's just something that I'm not gonna act as if it isn't a real thing amongst the African American culture. So just so you know that, we're about to go into this right now because I'm a brave dude, bro. And if you like this type of content, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, also the notification bell, so that next time we release any content, you'll be the first to be notified. And if you want to see more videos of music and whatnot, like rock and country and stuff, follow LFR
FAMILY. I'm not talking about hating your little rich friend. Far. People see this
Follow LFR Family Plus.
Yeah, go subscribe to him. He's a good guy.
There, okay? For music and stuff, right?
Community. Do you not think when people see this economic inequality, this disparity, I'm not talking about hating your little rich friend Lola Bell or whoever it was, you went round to see her nanny and were infuriated by it, but thought, oh well, maybe one day I'll have my own nanny. Do you not think that economic inequality creates in a human being a sense of injustice, of unfairness? Because people, do you know what, Candace, 90% of people that are rich, do you know why they're rich? They was born rich.
Okay, I can tell you something. I think that economic disparity creates that feeling, but a fundamental understanding in economics can help you.
Do you know that the most people that are rich are born rich? It's not like there's a tiny minority of people that are like you that come from a poor background and manage to overcome it. And this is what's a problem I've noticed with a lot of great people, is they sort of believe that their greatness is something that can be replicated, and I don't think it can.
I see. So I believe in the individual, you don't. That's our fundamental differences.
That the primary goal of the individual should be to serve the community.
I do not believe that the primary goal of
what do you think the primary goal of the individual should be? To serve the individual.
So you're discounting the human spirit.
I'm not discounting it. I'm saying that's all there is.
Let me ask.
So Russell Brand is a sort of left-leaning person, definitely in the classical liberal vein. And it's funny because he's debating Candace Owens, who's definitely in that right-leaning lane. And recently, Russell Brand has been taking a lot of heat in the last month or two. Oh, I gotta let the doggy in. The last month or two. Oh, falling off the chair. Come on, Ollie. And it's been taking a lot of heat. And So a lot of people have kind of tried to cancel, I guess, Russell Brand, even though he's on more on the left side. So it's interesting watching. I think this video came out probably before all that happened, and I'm not sure if Van is super aware of these people. I know he talks a lot about not being super political, so he's sort of being introduced to these people. But yeah.
No, there's not. In humanity, think of animals in the wild. You don't even have to go to humanity. We can just think about animals in the wild. What is our human instinct, okay? Are you going to make sure that everyone on this block is fed before you feed yourself? Do you go around and say, hey, have you had breakfast this morning?
Listen.
Hey, have you had breakfast this morning? Hey, or are you going to make sure you're eating? And if you have an excess, of course you're going to do the human condition, and our incentives are going to be to want to help
Are you
people.
mental? Excess, the richest.
Are you mental? Candace Owens is actually making a good point right now, and y'all don't get it, man. Y'all think it's some ignorant sugar honey iced tea for me to have this pause that I have to do what I'm doing right now, but.
In condition, and our incentives are going to be to want to help
Are you
people.
mental?
One thing that I will just add to this, where I think Candace Owens is wrong and where I think Russell Brand is wrong, in my opinion, most people that are wealthy in this country, at least in this country, were not born wealthy. There's actually a lot of studies that saying that they were not. Most people did not inherit their wealth. They're actually more first-generation millionaires every generation than ever before. So most people that are wealthy now, people that are truly like really, really wealthy, which is just a small fraction of the people that are wealthy, did inherit their money. So the Donald Trumps, the super, super rich, but then you're talking about like there's 18 million millionaires in this country right now, and most of them are first generation. So that whole inheriting thing and whatever, that's kind of a myth. So, and then where I disagree with Candace, I think that, yeah, you do have to take care of your family first, and then if you have excess, you can help other people. But I don't necessarily think, given any outside forces, that people do that. I'm going to take care of mine and then stockpile mine. Your first inclination is not to give it away unless you have some other outside influence. The Bible telling you to give unto others, put other people first, people in your community saying, hey, you should share your wealth. That helps you grow as an individual. Outside of outside forces, I don't think that it's a natural, necessarily thing that happens. I think that now I don't think that the government should be the one forcing people to, do charity. But I think that it should be it should start in the family, which is where I think Candace, talks a lot about. So I kind of agree but disagree. So
Ink says the richest 15 people on the planet have got as much cumulative wealth as the poorest 5 billion.
But you're
That's
talking
an excess.
No.
That's an excess.
Okay. Excuse me. First and foremost, you're talking about literally 0.00001% of the world is what
Let's
you're talking
get 'em.
about. Okay,
Let's
but
get 'em.
and what are they preaching? What do they want? Socialism, so that nobody else has the opportunity to become what they've become. They're the ones that are
they don't want socialism. These ultra rich people do not want socialism, in my opinion. Some of them do for idealistic reasons, but they want socialism in how China has socialism, where it's like it's capitalist socialism. It's in bed with the whatever. It's not true socialism. So I don't necessarily agree with that either.
Socialism.
Yes,
That's not
they
real
are.
socialism. Well,
Are you kidding? George Soros doesn't want socialist policies. Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world, doesn't want socialist policies. They want to make sure that no one else has the opportunity to get to where they got.
We need to discuss our language, me and you, because what we do.
Yes, they
here's
do.
what my socialism looks like. Take Jeff Bezos' wealth from him, except for a reasonable stipend for him to live on. Something like, he can have 10 million a year or something. Tax Amazon to the ground.
So the rich people pay for 85% of all of the taxes. You think they should pay for even more?
Do you think
That's fact.
statistically
That's
true?
fact. Yes.
Don't look at me with
I'm telling
that's
you,
fact
that's a fact.
face.
The top 10% pay for 85% of all the taxes. When people say they're going to raise their taxes more, I'm just like, how much more? Should we just say just pay for all the taxes?
Is that true? Please let me know that in the comments. I heard that before. That's why rich people vote Republican most times, because unless they lead with their hearts. If they lead with their hearts, and don't take disrespect to this. And if you do, then that's on you. It is what it.
So my take on that, and Van, you probably will never watch this, but my answer to you would be I think that most poor people get taxed through income. So there's income tax, and then there's sales tax, and then there's taxes that we pay on gas and things like that. And so all of those taxes that we pay outside of income tax as a percentage of our wealth is actually higher than what wealthy people pay. They make a lot more. Yeah, they pay a lot in income tax, but there's a lot of wealthy people just use take a loan against their company to buy a yacht. And if it's a loan from your company, your stocks, you never pay tax on it. So it's a loophole, a legal loophole for how to get out of paying taxes. So there's a lot of monkeying around with the system. I know wealthy people pay a lot more in taxes, but as a percentage of their income, of what they pay versus what poor people pay, I don't necessarily know that's. I don't know. There's an imbalance there, and I think that she's probably correct. But when you zoom out and take in account the whole broader picture, okay, yeah, they pay more in taxes, but they make a lot more money. And is that more in taxes as a ratio more than what poor people pay on their taxes in sales tax and things like that? I don't know. I really would like to look into that one day.
It is. But rich people leave, if they leave with their hearts, they'll vote left. If they're leaving with their pocketbook, they're voting right. Or if they're thinking about everybody else, then they're really in the middle. But most times, if they're protecting their pocketbook, I'm hearing that the right serves the people a little better when it comes to taxation and whatnot. But y'all feel free to correct me in the comments because I am new to all of this.
Of all the taxes, when people say they're going to raise their taxes more, I'm just like, how much more? Should we just say just pay for all the taxes?
I say this, that there is no, when you're about to use an example from the natural world, and then
I'm talking about
you
America,
backed
by the
off
way.
it,
I forgot
you?
that I'm in. No, I was gonna say the instinct when you're in the natural world is that you feed your family first. You're not the idea that socialism tries to create goes against
We are no longer
human.
in the natural world, are we? We're in a world of sort of accumulation and excess, and I don't think it's even working. I wonder about sort of, look, I want, because you could say, where do you draw the line? Because look at me, I've got money now, I'm not poor anymore, and I'm not going, right, I'll just take everything that's, the thing that I do agree with when I see like sort of right-wing commentators talk, like they talk about people that are, in inverted commas, from the left, and they go, well, why don't you put some refugees in your house? Why don't you give up your money? And the reason is because people are selfish, and in all of us, there is a kind of battle between, like some of my impulses, Candace, are, I just want pleasure and fun, and I don't care about anything except myself. That's in me. Mm-hmm. That's in me, and it's strong. But I personally think I don't feel good when I live that way. There are consequences for me, and there are consequences for others. So I kind of want to live within systems that encourage collective and communal values. That instead
theft. We're talking about theft.
No, we're not talking about
demanding.
theft.
I like what he's saying because he is talking about what Candace is talking about, I think, in a lot of ways, because he's talking about like the community coming together and serving each other, and where he's using the word community, she might use it starts in the home with families and churches and things like that. It's the right and the left have similar places, they just use different terminologies, and that's frustrating to me because then she just turned it around and she's like, they're talking past each other, which is kind of frustrating to me. But when there actually is room to agree, I hear a lot actually.
Thing that people give up their stuff is theft, but it sounds pretty when you say encourage incentives. No, when the government comes and demands that I give to someone else, that's theft.
You keep translating what I'm saying into. No, you're not helping me.
He's talking about theft.
You're translating what I'm saying into rhetoric that you can argue with, creating straw men of my words as we go, so you can kick them over.
No,
but he is too.
For our patients, for our communities, for each other, you can count on us to show up.
I'm not saying that. I'm not espousing the values of big government. I'm not saying that there's any political party that currently exists that in any way represents my views. I'm just asking if in politics, both personally and collectively, there's room for a little more compassion and love. And whilst I agree with your that there is something easy to fetishize about individual achievements, that in your own case or wherever we see greatness, we can't take that example.
I'm telling y'all right now, I'm actually hoping to disagree with Candace. I haven't yet. And listen, I know it doesn't make much sense, but Check this out. I am. Not gonna lie to y'all. I am. I don't want to be on the side of anybody who's so polarizing to the black community. I don't know why she is, but I know it's for a reason. But I don't know yet. And she just sounds so intelligent in this back and forth. She sounds extremely intelligent, very poised, waiting for each point that he puts across the table. And she's ready to combat it with something that's just sensible and I mean, she didn't start throwing out any facts or anything yet. That she didn't say you can find this fact, that this, that, and other. You can find this here. You can find this here. None of that. But basically, what she said so far has been extremely sensible, and I have nothing for it but to just appreciate what I'm listening to. Okay, let's go.
Achievements in your own case or wherever we see greatness. We can't take that example of the ability of the individual to overcome adversity to condemn people that haven't been able to. Like, where is there a role then for compassion and kindness? I'm not saying let's create a big government and take away all
not
your...
in politics. So my thing is that the conversation should be completely separate. Americans give $500 billion in charity every single year. Okay, it has been proven that when you lower the tax rate, when government stays out of our paycheck, we actually give more. That we're inclined to. If you have more money and you're able to do it, of course you want to give and you want to help.
This is where I feel like first generation millionaires tend to give back, give to charity, do all these things, and that's what she's talking about, those 18 million millionaires. And what Russell Brand, I think, has a problem with is those people that are like billionaires, multi-billionaires, and multi-millionaires and billionaires that are in the higher echelon that are using these loopholes. You know, that I think is what he has a problem with. And so it's frustrating for me watching this to be like, I think that they're not even talking about the same thing. But she's right and he's right, and that's kind of confusing. So
when the government is saying we're going to tax your business, if you're successful, you're going to get taxed more, you know.
And then that whole taxing your business, she's talking about those people, a lot of those 18 million people are small business owners that have a lot of taxes on their businesses. They're paying a lot of cost, and they are, they feel strangled by the taxes. And that's why, you know, I think Van mentioned earlier, that he was saying a lot of, you know, Republicans, you know, if you're voting with your pocketbook, you know, because they're giving tax cuts to these, you know, small business owners so that they can produce more. And I think what Russell Brand is saying is like, I want to hit the people that are in the upper echelon, but I don't think he's communicating that way. I don't know if he's necessarily thinking about that way. I think he's probably trying to hit all of them as well. So I don't necessarily agree with him on that, but I do personally. I think there's a distinction here. So,
what is the incentive for you to want to jump and build a business if you know that you're going to be penalized for it? You're going to be penalized for success. That's why we believe in limited government. When I say we, obviously I work for an organization, Turning Point USA.
Oh yeah, what's that all about?
It's a you know, when
didn't she used to work for Prager? Now she works for Turning Point.
Turning Point
what USA. We're launching it in the UK, TP UK. That's what this whole trip is about. It sounds
You're
good,
hold
too.
on a minute. You're launching Turning Point, and like Turning Point is what? What do you want us to turn to?
It's conservative principles taught in the school system, because the kids are learning this lolly-dolly merry-go-round. The world's going to be purple, and we're all going to have lollipops in the school systems. And then possibly from your podcast, I guess I haven't watched enough episodes. And it's just not. It's the truest, the economic model of letting people find success because they're willing to work hard. If you don't want to work hard, you shouldn't be rewarded. I don't believe in that. I don't believe, well, what about the person who doesn't have your drive?
Why should economic systems govern the way that we live our lives? Why is there not room for people to be different? Why is it that a person's value and worth should be distilled into
That's called the natural market. You can't make that go away.
It's not called the natural market.
Yes, it is. You can't make that go away, no matter what. Tell me in the history of the world where there hasn't been some give and some take. You can't make that go away. There's no magic wand that you can wave that's going to make human incentives and what happens in humanity go away. It doesn't matter how rich or how poor society is. There's going to be give, there's going to be take. People are going to create natural markets. I have 3 apples, I'll give you 2 apples if you give me this. I mean, it just happens. This is the way the world works.
She hasn't said anything wrong yet. She hasn't said anything wrong yet.
No. Well, there.
One thing I learned when I was younger because most people tend to become more conservative as they age. That doesn't necessarily mean to go right wing. They just tend to adopt more conservative policies when they start thinking about their finances and such. Yeah, that is true, bro.
And I think also as they learn more about the impact that their family has on society and that personal responsibility, I think aspect tends to make people a little bit more conservative as they get older. And they start having families and kids and start realizing that how important those, values are.
Bro, that is true. That is definitely the truth. Like my wife and I, it will benefit us more to be conservative and vote right. But from where we've come, and all of the people who are in our family still dealing with certain things that benefit more from programs that's provided by the left. You know what I mean? We have a decision to make when we go to the polls. And I'm sitting here waiting for Candace Owens to say something dumb or just to slip up in some way. So I'm be like, now I see why they don't like your ass. Now I see why they don't like your ass. It's not happening. It's just not. And Russell Brand is just, he's so damn cool. He's like, but what about the people who ain't got it all together? What about the other people who's not as poised as you? She's just breaking it down to them, step by step. Yeah.
I'll give you 2 apples if you give me this. I mean, it just happens. This is the way the world works.
Yeah, I appreciate that we have certain natural impulses to trade and to cooperate. Well, if you're enjoying that conversation with Candace, let me know who you thought made the best points. Who do you agree with more?
I'll let him wrap up his thoughts here in a second, but on that video, I think there is natural markets, obviously, because, I mean, where did all this come from, right? I mean, like, back before there was such thing as capitalism, before there was such thing as, like, people get, it made more sense to put your, to shear the sheep and put it on the back of wagons, take it to this water, take it across there where they diet and spin it, do all these things. I mean, like, natural markets became a thing because it's a natural thing, but I think it is also natural to abuse those markets, which is why you need some sorts of regulations, obviously, on those markets. So,
More, who do you disagree with, for heaven's sake? If you want to listen to the rest of it, go over to Luminary and...
I didn't disagree with either of them. Can't have nobody seeing that I go back to the hood, I can't be like, man, we saw you reacting to Candace Owens. What's up with that? What's up with you reacting to Candace Owens, bruh? What's that about? Well, you like Candace Owens now? You think like Candace Owens now? What's up with that?
So again, I really appreciate his just ability to like look at these things and be objective and try to find things that he disagrees with, insofar as like, okay, I'm just not going to take what you're saying. I'm not going to believe you just because you're saying it and you got facts. Let me fact check your facts and do those kinds of things. And I think that's what is needed in our society. I like what you're doing. I love what you're doing. I like reacting to that because I think it's important to have in our society. And one other little thing I want to throw in here is like, so my little story about Candace Owens. So back when Jasmine and I were dating, she was asking, you go through that whole like, okay, who's your celebrity crush, right? So, I could have just said Beyonce or somebody, but I was trying to be smart and say somebody that, hopefully she wouldn't know anything about. So I tried to say Candace Owens. Jasmine's very apolitical, as you saw from potentially some of their other reaction videos. She doesn't really care. She didn't think 2 thoughts after that video that we did about slavery after. It just doesn't occupy her mind, and that's fine. I think about politics probably for the both of us, for 2-3 people thinking about these things. Yeah, so I said Candace Owens. Well, she Googles her and starts looking up things, and so now Candace Owens is kind of not it's not a positive thing in our household. So yeah, it can be controversial for in the black community, but also in my own little house. So I didn't tell her I was reacting to this, so maybe she won't watch it. I don't know. She doesn't always watch the channel. So, well, this has been fun. So I'm gonna do some more reactions. Catch you next time.